I want to document this, okay? Can you start from the very beginning and repeat uh, the two
The,
episodes?
yeah, so my husband, last 2 days, yesterday, which would have been March 26th, 2025, and then the day before, March 25th, 2025. I come home from work and I'm home about 4:30, quarter till 5. And the first episode on the 25th of March, my husband said to me, he said, I had what felt like a glitch in the matrix kind of experience. He said, and it scared me, but yet it freaked me out, but yet it intrigued me. He said, I was in the kitchen and he said, I was starting to sand and do some trim work, painting trim work. And he says, so I'm standing on a step stool. It's about 2 or 3 steps on this little stool. And he says, I'm up there and I'm standing in the corner of the ceiling before I, get ready to actually paint a coat of primer on it. And he said, all of a sudden I hear this crashing sound right in front of me. Something hit the floor, and he said it sounded like a glass had fallen off the counter and it busted everywhere. It was loud. He said, but there wasn't any glasses. And he said, so I get off the step stool and I look in front of it, and there is probably an 8-inch ceramic tile. He said, we don't have any ceramic tiles in the house. I've never seen this ceramic tile. I don't even know where this came from. It wasn't busted. And he picks it up and he said, so I'm sitting there scratching my head going, what the hell? He says, I'm searching the kitchen thinking, could it have fallen off like a shelf? And he says, I don't know where this came from. It couldn't have come from the basement. And even if it did, he's like, the cat, it's too big of a heavy ceramic kitchen tile for the cats to be able to put in their mouth and pick up and bring. But he said it sounded like it fell from like the height of a countertop. And it sounded like it broke, but it didn't break. It was just this one large piece of ceramic tile. He said, so I'm scratching my head and I think that's weird. He says, but I chalked it up, I threw the tile away. Yesterday, I get home from work on the 26th, and my husband says, you're not going to believe this. He said, I've had one hell of a day again today. And I said, what happened? He said, I experienced another glitch in the damn matrix. I said, oh, God, what happened to you today? He said, I took all the ceiling can lights down because I was finishing up sanding the ceiling and I was starting to paint. So I had sanded I took the can lights down, I sanded everything, and I start painting. He said, I get to the very end and I've got maybe a foot left of paint right in front of the refrigerator. It's about 12 by 12 foot left to finish painting the first coat on the ceiling. And he says, so I do that, and my back was towards the refrigerator, so I'm backing up. He said, so I turn around to finish the foot, and he said, I look up, and he said, one can light is back up in the ceiling, and it's on, while the other 5 can lights are out of the box, just like I took them all out, and he said, they are all off. He says, now I can't explain that because it's on a dimmer switch, but when you push the lever up on the dimmer switch, all the lights come on or all the lights come off. You can't have one on and the rest off. He said, and I swear to God, I sanded and painted an entire coat on the ceiling, and all of the 6 can lights I had taken out of the ceiling, and they were just hanging there, by the boxes. They were loose. They were just literally hanging a foot underneath the ceiling. And he said, I can't explain this. He said, but here, and he showed me pictures on his phone. He said, I took pictures before I started the project, and you can clearly see all the 6 can lights are out of the box and they're hanging there. You could clearly see this. And he said, when I turned around and I noticed the one can light was back up in there. And he said, so I snapped another photograph, and you can clearly see that that light is been put back up into the ceiling, screwed back in, and he said somehow it had turned on while the rest of the lights are off. And he said, here's the thing I can't explain. The electricity is hooked into all the 6 can lights at the same time. That is the only lights that we have in the kitchen. We have no other light in the kitchen, the 6 can lights. You can't manually turn on and off different can lights. So when you, like I said, when you flip the toggle switch on to turn on the light in the kitchen, all 6 can lights will come on at the same time. When you shut it off, all 6 can lights go off at the same time. I could not explain the photograph. He could not explain what he witnessed, and he was like, I don't know what happened. I just know I didn't do it, and nobody was in the house, and it freaked me out.
Can you send me the photographs? Email?
Yeah, he's got him on his phone. I can go through his phone and get the photographs. He took like 3 or 4 photographs.
Okay.
And it was just the most bizarre thing.
Could you tell me about the other episode in the bathroom?
Yeah, okay, so I was in the bathroom this morning about 10 after 5 a.m. because I was getting ready to go to work, and I was doing my makeup at the time because I normally leave about 5:30. It takes me about 5 minutes to do my makeup. So I'm standing in the bathroom, and I thought, you know what, this isn't the kids, because when the kids are around me, I get a feeling, I get a sense of being real high is the only way I can describe it. It's almost like you feel stoned, but not. It's almost like you've taken gabapentin, which is a nerve relaxer, and it just makes you very, very, very relaxed, almost like a meditative state. Well, I wasn't feeling that. So I'm standing in the bathroom, and I thought, you know, something tells me this wasn't coming from the kids. Now, about 2 years ago, David's nephew, which would have been David's brother's Johnny, his son, passed away from a heroin fentanyl overdose. At that time, about 2 days after Christopher died, Johnny sent me and David a video of his ring door camera had captured an anomaly in the front of his front porch. And then Johnny said, David, have your wife look at this because she's into ghosts and paranormal and all this stuff, and she's always been into all this and reading, psychic readings and stuff. He says, this freaked me out. I don't know what to make of this, but it's like a light orb, and it's moving all around my front porch, and my ring camera captured it. What is it? Well, I swore that probably was the spirit of his son trying to just let him know that I'm okay, you know. So fast forward, so I'm in the bathroom this morning. I'm doing my makeup, again, about 10 after 5. And as soon as I had the thought, I bet you that was Christopher, David's nephew, that has been trying to reach out with him. I felt, I don't know how to explain it, other than it felt like somebody had turned on a fan and just blew a bunch of wind on me. I mean, I could physically feel it as if the wind was blowing in my bathroom. Now, I have a very small bathroom, so I've got, you know, a toilet, and I've got a little sink and then a tub, and it's, you know, 2 people can't, you know, be in there comfortably. I mean, it's pretty small. And there was no external wind source. There was no, I didn't have the ceiling fan on. There wasn't anything that would have created that. I mean, as soon as I had that thought, I don't think this was coming from the kids. I think my husband's experience, I think it was coming from his nephew. And then as soon as I had that thought, bam, I felt that rush of wind on me.
Can you send me the porch video of the orb? Do you have access to that?
I don't know if I still have it because it was on a cell phone. It was on like 3 cell phones ago. I can look to see if it was on I'm trying to remember what cell phone it was that Johnny had sent it to me on. And my husband's gotten a new phone since then. But I will look for it, yes, because Johnny did send us both the videos. And what it is Johnny's got a ring door camera. It's a security camera, and he's had it for a long time. And 2 days after his son died, Johnny had him cremated, and he did an urn and all this stuff for him. Johnny called David on the phone and said, I have something I want to show you. And Jane, he said, this is so bizarre, I can't explain it, but it kind of creeped me out. And he said, I'm going to send it to you, and I'm going to send it to Jane, but I want you to have her look at it and tell me what she thinks it is, because I know your wife's into the whole ghosts and orbs and, spirits and, life after death kind of stuff. And David says, okay. So he sent it to both of us, and David said, check this out. And I'm like, it was probably a 7 to 10 minute video. It wasn't like it was just a bug and it was a pretty big orb too. It was like, I'm going to say it was like the size of a cantaloupe. It wasn't a tiny little orb. And the way that it was moving was it was on the front, it would come up on the front porch, and then it would float side to side, and then it floated backwards, like it went up down the step, and then it went into the front yard, and then it came back up on the front porch, and then it hovered for about a minute or two, and then it moved up, and then it moved down. And then it moved side to side, and then it went back down off the side of the porch, and then it just disappeared, just like dissipated. So I was watching it, and I thought, that has to be his son.
Well, I have...
And that's the only thing I'm thinking of, is that it's probably Johnny's son probably trying to get David's attention.
I have some information from... about me and David. We've been experiencing, and you can talk to your brother about this, we've been experiencing temperature shifts in my front room. We have the temperatures like 73, and we're in coats, we're freezing. And then,
I've experienced that as well, Dad. I've experienced it on both spectrums. I've experienced a warm pocket, like there's a heat, like it feels like a heating pad in just a little area in front of me. And then I've also felt it as cold, like there's just this cold, like a temperature drop, a significant temperature drop, and there's no reason for it. You know what I mean? Nobody's touched the thermostat, and it's like a bizarre experience. It's like... But yeah, I know what you're talking about, because I've had that experience before too. And it's like, what in the world? Like, where's that coming from?
Well, me and David have been experiencing that. I want to thank you for taking the time and sharing this with me.
Yeah, and that's fine. Whatever you want to do with it, if you want to share it with David or whatever. I wasn't there to experience it. I did watch Johnny's spring camera video, but I will try to find that and then send that to you if I still have it.
Okay, thank you.